The silk sheets felt too expensive against my skin. I opened my eyes slowly, wincing at the sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. My head throbbed. My body ached in places that made my face burn with shame. I sat up too quickly and the room spun. Where the hell was I? This wasn't my apartment. This was a penthouse suite, the kind I could never afford on a doctor's salary. My clothes were scattered across the marble floor. Bite marks covered my shoulders, my thighs. The scent of alpha musk clung to the sheets, mixed with my own omega pheromones. No. My suppressants. I'd taken them yesterday morning before the medical conference, I was sure of it. But looking at my body at this room, I knew exactly what had happened. My heat had broken through. On the nightstand, crisp bills were folded next to a hotel notepad. No note. No name. Just money. Like I was some kind of prostitute. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands. 23 missed calls from Taeyang. I gathered my clothes, dressed as quickly as my sore body would allow, and stumbled out of that hotel room. I couldn't remember a single thing about last night. Not the alpha's face, not his voice, nothing. Just the lingering feeling of his hands on my skin. 3 months later, I'd almost convinced myself it was just a nightmare. Dr. Kong. Incoming trauma. I snapped out of my thoughts as Taeyang burst through the ER doors. His usually bright face was grim. Pregnant Omega, 35 weeks, severe hemorrhaging. Ambulance is 2 minutes out. I was already moving, pulling on fresh gloves. This was what I knew. This was what I could control. The Omega arrived on a gurney, pale as death, clutching his swollen belly. Blood soaked through the sheets. Please, he gasped, grabbing my hand. Save my babies. Please. We've got you, I promised, though my heart was racing. What's your name? Seo Hyunwoo. His vitals were crashing. Placental abruption, the worst kind. We had minutes, maybe less. Prep for emergency C-section. Page the surgical team now. The next hour blurred into controlled chaos. My hands moved on instinct, making incisions, clamping vessels, searching for 2 tiny heartbeats in a sea of blood. The first baby came out crying. A miracle. The second was silent, but after 30 seconds of resuscitation he wailed too. Twin boys. Alive. But Hyunwoo was slipping away. Blood pressure dropping. He's coding. I worked desperately, but the hemorrhaging wouldn't stop. Too much damage. Too much blood loss. Hyunwoo's hand found mine, his grip weakening. Baek Ji-hoon, he whispered, blood on his lips. Tell him, the babies. I'm sorry. Save your strength, I begged. We're going to. His eyes went vacant. The monitor flatlined. Time of death, 1447. I stood there, hands still inside his body, covered in his blood, and wanted to scream. Another life I couldn't save. But I'd saved his children. That had to mean something. I was still cleaning up in the scrub room when Taeyang found me. Minjun, there's someone here for the babies. Says he's the father. I dried my hands slowly. The father? Hyunwoo didn't mention. You need to see this guy. He's intense. That was an understatement. The man standing in the hallway wore a suit that probably cost more than my car. Tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of cold, perfect face that belonged on magazine covers. His alpha scent hit me like a physical force, cedar and rain and something darker. My omega instincts purred. I shoved them down violently. Are you the doctor? His voice was deep, controlled, empty of emotion. Dr. Kang Minjun. You're Baek Ji-hoon. I'm here for my children. My children. Not our children. Not Hyunwoo's children. Mr. Baek, I'm very sorry, but Seo Hyunwoo didn't survive the delivery. Nothing. Not even a flicker of emotion crossed his face. I know. Where are the twins? Something about this felt wrong. But exhaustion was making my thoughts fuzzy. They're in the NICU. They're stable but premature. We'll need to keep them for observation. I want them transferred to a private facility. That's not advisable. I'll take full responsibility. Have the papers prepared. He turned to leave, then paused. His nostrils flared slightly. He turned back to me, his dark eyes scanning my face with sudden intensity. Have we met before, Dr. Kang? The question sent ice down my spine. That scent, cedar and rain, suddenly felt terrifyingly familiar. A flash of memory, strong hands gripping my hips, that same deep voice in my ear. No, I said too quickly. I don't think so. His jaw tightened. He stared at me for a long moment and I swore I saw something flicker in his eyes. Recognition? Impossible. I'll return tomorrow to complete the arrangements. The twins will need regular checkups. I want you as their pediatrician. Mr. Baek, I'm an ER doctor, not a... I'll triple your consultation rate. He walked away before I could respond, leaving me standing there with my heart racing and my Omega instincts screaming warnings I didn't understand. Taeyang appeared at my shoulder. Minjun, you look like you've seen a ghost. What's wrong? I watched Baek Ji-hoon disappear around the corner, his scent still lingering in the air. I don't know, I whispered. But something about him. I touched my neck unconsciously, where faint scars from 3 months ago still marked my skin. Something about him feels like danger. I couldn't stop thinking about those twins. It had been 2 weeks since Hyunwoo died on my operating table, and every night I saw his face. Those desperate eyes. That whispered apology to Baek Ji-hoon. Something about the whole situation gnawed at me. You're doing it again, Taeyang said, catching me staring at my computer screen during our break. Minjun, let it go. You saved the babies. That's what matters. But I couldn't let it go. I pulled up Seo Hyunwoo's medical records, telling myself I was just reviewing the case for my files. Standard procedure. Except I kept digging deeper, past the delivery notes, past the prenatal visits, all the way back to the beginning of his pregnancy. That's when I found it. IVF treatment. Hyunwoo hadn't conceived naturally. I scrolled through the fertility clinic records and my blood went cold. Paternal DNA source. Anonymous donor number 0328. Not Baek Ji-hoon's name. An anonymous donor. Why would Ji-hoon claim children that weren't biologically his? Why did Hyunwoo apologize to him with his dying breath? Dr. Kong? A nurse poked her head into the break room. Mr. Baek is here for the twins' checkup. He's asking for you specifically. My stomach dropped. Baek Ji-hoon stood in the pediatric examination room like he owned it, which, given his wealth, he probably could. The twins were cradled in a designer double stroller, sleeping peacefully. Mr. Baek, I said professionally, though my hands trembled as I pulled on examination gloves. Let's take a look at Ji-ho and Ji-woo. I lifted the first baby and Ji-hoon moved closer to watch. Too close. His scent surrounded me, that damned cedar and rain that made my Omega want to bare its neck in submission. Focus, Minjun. I checked Ji-ho's vitals, his reflexes, his breathing. Everything was perfect. As I moved to examine Ji-woo, my hand accidentally brushed against Ji-hoon's. The world tilted. A flash of memory exploded behind my eyes, those same hands pinning my wrists above my head, his voice rough with desire. You're mine, Omega. Say it. I stumbled backward, the baby secure in my arms but my heart racing out of control. Dr. Kong? Ji-hoon's hand shot out to steady me, gripping my elbow. Are you all right? Don't touch me, I said more sharply than I intended. He released me immediately but his eyes narrowed. Your scent just spiked. What's wrong? Everything. Everything was wrong. Have we met before? The question tumbled out before I could stop it. Before the hospital, I mean. At a medical conference, maybe? 3 months ago. Something dangerous flashed across his face. His jaw clenched so hard I heard his teeth grind. No, he said flatly. We've never met. Liar. My Omega instinct screamed it. He was lying. I finished the examination in tense silence, my mind racing. When I handed him the health reports, I noticed a thin scar on his knuckle, the kind you get from split skin healing. How did you get that scar? I asked, trying to sound casual. He glanced at his hand, then back at me with those unreadable dark eyes. I don't remember. Another lie. That evening, I was leaving the hospital when a man stepped out of a black sedan parked near the entrance. Dr. Kong Minjun? He was an alpha, wearing an expensive suit but with kinder eyes than Ji-hoon's. He held up a badge. Detective Nam Jae-sung. I need to speak with you about Seo Hyunwoo's death. My throat went dry. His death was medically documented. Placental abruption, hemorrhaging. I'm not questioning your medical judgment, doctor. He opened the car door. But there are things about this case you need to know. Please. 10 minutes. Against my better judgment, I got in. Jae-sung drove to a quiet cafe, ordered us both coffee and slid a folder across the table. Seo Hyunwoo's toxicology report came back. His blood showed traces of a medication that shouldn't have been there, a drug that can trigger premature labor and hemorrhaging in omegas. What? But that means someone wanted him dead. Or wanted those babies delivered early. Jae-sung leaned forward. Dr. Kong, what do you know about your patient's relationship with Baek Ji-hoon? Nothing. He just showed up claiming to be the father. He's not. Those babies aren't his biologically. Jae-sung pulled out another photo, security footage from a hotel. But here's what's interesting. This is from the Grand Celestia Hotel 3 months ago. Medical conference weekend. My heart stopped. The grainy image showed a tall man in a suit carrying an unconscious Omega. The Omega's face was partially visible. Was me. The man carrying me was Baek Ji-hoon. Oh God, I whispered, my hands shaking so badly I spilled my coffee. Dr. Kong, I think you're in danger. Jae-sung's voice was gentle but urgent. Ji-hoon is my friend, but something happened that night. Something he won't talk about. And now an Omega connected to him is dead. He was there, I breathed. That night. It was him. The hotel room. The marks on my body. The money on the nightstand. Baek Ji-hoon was the alpha who'd taken me during my heat. You need to be careful, Jae-sung warned. Until we figure out who killed Hyunwoo and why, stay away from Ji-hoon. Don't be alone with him. I nodded numbly, but all I could think about was the way my body reacted to Ji-hoon's presence. The way his scent called to my Omega. The way those twins felt right in my arms like they were meant to be there. Detective, I said slowly, I need to run a DNA test. Something doesn't add up about those babies. Jae-sung's expression darkened. What are you thinking? I'm thinking Seo Hyunwoo died keeping a secret. And Baek Ji-hoon knows exactly what it is. I stood outside Cheonsang Pharmaceuticals headquarters for 10 minutes before I found the courage to walk inside. The DNA results were folded in my jacket pocket, burning like a brand against my chest. I'd run the test 3 times, certain I'd made a mistake. But the numbers didn't lie. Those twins had genetic markers that shouldn't exist. Dr. Kong? The receptionist looked surprised. Do you have an appointment with Mr. Baek? No. But tell him I'm here about that night at the Grand Celestia Hotel. 5 minutes later, I was being escorted to the top floor. Ji-hoon's office was all glass and steel, overlooking the city like a throne room. He stood by the window, his back to me, radiating alpha authority. Close the door, he said quietly. I did. My hands were shaking. That night at the hotel, I started, my voice stronger than I felt. It was you, wasn't it? You're the alpha who? Yes. He turned to face me, and for the first time, I saw cracks in his icy composure. His sense spiked. Distress, guilt, something darker. It was me. The admission knocked the air from my lungs. I went into heat in the hotel corridor, I said, piecing it together. My suppressants failed. And you? I tried to get you help. He moved closer and I forced myself not to retreat. I called hotel security, medical services. But you grabbed onto me. You begged me not to leave you alone. Your Omega was calling and my alpha, his jaw clenched. I couldn't resist. I tried. God, I tried. So you took me to your room and fucked me while I was out of my mind? Anger burned through my fear. And then you left money like I was some whore? I panicked. For the first time, real emotion cracked through his voice. You passed out afterward. I didn't know your name, where you worked, how to contact you. The money was, I know how it looked. But I didn't know what else to do. I laughed bitterly. You could have stayed. You could have made sure I was okay. I know. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. I've regretted it every day since. Silence stretched between us. My Omega wanted to forgive him, wanted to curl into his arms and accept his remorse. But I wasn't ruled by instinct. There's more you haven't told me, I said, pulling out the DNA results. About Hyunwoo. About those twins. Ji-hoon's expression shuddered. That's none of your concern. Those babies are in my medical care. That makes it my concern. He stared at me for a long moment, then moved to his desk and poured 2 glasses of whiskey with shaking hands. He downed his in one gulp. Hyunwoo was my younger brother's fiancée, he finally said. Min-suk died 2 years ago in a car accident. Before he died, he'd stored sperm at a fertility clinic. He wanted children someday. After his death, Hyunwoo came to me begging. He wanted to carry Min-suk's child. Keep a part of him alive. My throat tightened. So you agreed. I paid for everything. The IVF, the medical care, everything. But the clinic, his hands fisted. They made a mistake. A catastrophic mistake. They used the wrong sample. What do you mean? They used MY sperm instead of Min-suk's. His voice was hollow. Those twins aren't my brother's children. They're mine. Biologically mine. Hyunwoo was carrying my babies, not Min-suk's. The room spun. Did he know? Not until the last month. When he found out, Ji-hoon's voice broke. He was devastated. He felt like he'd betrayed Min-suk. That's why he apologized. He thought it was his fault. That's why you claimed them, I whispered. You felt responsible. They're my blood. My brother's fiancée died bringing them into this world. What else could I do? I should have felt sympathy. But something still didn't add up. Ji-hoon, I ran genetic tests on the twins. I unfolded the results with trembling hands. There's something impossible in their DNA. Markers that suggest. The office door exploded inward. 3 men in black masks burst in, guns drawn. Before I could scream, one grabbed me, an arm around my throat. Don't move, Mr. Baek. the leader said calmly. Or your Omega friend gets a bullet in his brain. Jihoon's eyes went completely black, his alpha aura flooding the room with such intensity one felt my knees buckle. Let him go. You have something we want. The formula for your new suppressant drug. The one that prevents heats entirely. The man pressed the gun harder against my temple. Give it to us or Dr. Kong dies. It's not ready for production, Jihoon growled. The trials aren't complete. We're not asking again. Everything happened too fast. Jihoon lunged forward. Gunshots. Someone screaming, me. Then I was being dragged backward, Jihoon fighting like a wild animal to reach me. A needle stabbed into my neck. The world went black. I woke up in darkness, my head throbbing. Concrete floor. Damp walls. A basement somewhere. Minjun? Jihoon's voice close by. I'm here. My eyes adjusted. We were chained to opposite walls, maybe 10 feet apart. Are you hurt? I don't think so. You. I'll live. He tested his chains but they held firm. I'm sorry. This is my fault. The formula, there are people who'd kill for it. I should have protected you better. How did they know about me? They've been watching me. They must have seen us together at the hospital. His sense shifted, protective, possessive. When we get out of here you're staying with me. Where I can keep you safe. Jihoon. I should have told you sooner. His voice was raw. That night at the hotel. I didn't just lose control because you were in heat. My alpha recognized you. As my fated mate. My breath caught. That's impossible. Fated mates are rare. I know. He laughed bitterly. But the bond is there. I can feel it. And right now, he inhaled sharply. Minjun, you're set. When did you last take your suppressants? Horror washed over me as I realized what he was sensing. My heat was starting. Trapped in a basement with my fated mate, about to go into a heat that would drive us both insane. The heat crashed over me like a wave, and I bit down on my lip hard enough to draw blood. Minjun, listen to me. Jihoon's voice cut through the haze of pheromones flooding the basement. You need to breathe. Focus on my voice. Can't? I gasped, my body temperature spiking. Jihoon, I can't. Yes, you can. Breathe with me. Out. But his alpha scent was everywhere, responding to my distress, making everything worse. I could hear him struggling against his chains, the metal cutting into his wrists. I'm going to get us out of here, he promised, his voice rough with barely controlled instinct. I swear to you, Minjun. Just hold on. Time became meaningless. Minutes or hours passed in agony. Then, footsteps above us. Police. Baek Jihoon, are you down here? Jae-sung. Jihoon shouted. We're here. Detective Nam Jae-sung appeared at the top of the stairs with 3 officers. His eyes widened when he saw us, when he smelled the pheromones saturating the air. Jesus. Get them out now. The ambulance ride was torture. Jihoon sat across from me, jaw clenched, hands fisted so tight his knuckles were white. Fighting every alpha instinct to claim me while I writhed on the stretcher. Almost there, the paramedic kept saying. We're almost there, Dr. Kong. At the hospital, Taeyang took one look at me and started barking orders. Private room now. And get Mr. Baek away from him before they both lose control. No. I grabbed Jihoon's sleeve as they tried to separate us. Don't leave me. His eyes were completely black. I have to. Minjun, I can't. If I stay, I'll. Please. The Omega in me was begging, but so was the rational part. I need you. Taeyang looked between us, then made a decision. Private room. Lock the door. I'll come check in 6 hours. They barely got us inside before Jihoon pulled me into his arms, his mouth on mine, and everything else ceased to exist. I woke 12 hours later, tangled in hospital sheets and Jihoon's arms. My body ached, but the heat had broken. You're awake, he murmured against my hair. How do you feel? Like I got hit by a truck. I tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Oh God, we bonded. Yes. He showed me his neck where my bite mark was still red and healing. You marked me at the peak. Do you remember? Flashes of memory, his hands, his voice, the overwhelming rightness of it. Yes. Minjun, I need to tell you something. He helped me sit up carefully. That night 3 months ago. I didn't use protection. If there's any chance that you... The door burst open. Taeyang stood there with a tablet, his face pale. Minjun, we need to run tests. Now. What's wrong? You were bleeding during your heat. Not much, but enough that I checked. And, he shoved the tablet at me. You need to see this. The ultrasound image made no sense at first. Then I saw it, the tiny flutter of a heartbeat. That's impossible, I whispered. I'm on suppressants. I can't get pregnant. You're 4 months along. Taeyang said quietly. The suppressants must have failed before your heat at the conference. Minjun, you've been pregnant this whole time. Jihoon's hand found mine, squeezing tight. 4 months. The same age as the twins. There's more, I said, remembering why we'd been kidnapped in the first place. Taeyang, I need you to pull the twins' complete genetic analysis. The full panel. Why? Just do it. Please. 20 minutes later, we sat in a consultation room. Me, Jihoon, Taeyang, and Detective Jae-sung. The genetic reports were spread across the table like accusatory evidence. This doesn't make sense, Taeyang said, staring at the data. The twins have 3 genetic contributors. 3. That's scientifically impossible. Chimeric twins, I explained, my voice shaking. It's rare, but it happens when multiple embryos fuse in the womb. The fertility clinic didn't just make one mistake. They combined multiple embryos. Jihoon leaned forward. Explain it in terms I can understand. I pointed to the genetic markers. This DNA is from Hyunwoo. This is yours. But this, my finger trembled over the 3rd set. This is mine. Silence. The clinic where Hyunwoo had his IVF done? I had a routine procedure there a year ago. They extracted and froze some of my eggs as a precaution before I started a new suppressant regimen. Somehow they created an embryo using your sperm and my egg, then combined it with Hyunwoo's embryo. So those babies, Jihoon's voice cracked, are partially ours. Yours and mine. Fused with Hyunwoo's genetic material through a catastrophic lab error. Tears spilled down my cheeks. Hyunwoo died bringing our children into the world. Children we didn't even know we'd created. Jihoon stood abruptly, walking to the window. His shoulders shook. All this time, he whispered. I thought I was raising them out of obligation. Out of guilt. But they're ours. They've been ours from the beginning. Jae-sung cleared his throat. There's something else. We found evidence that Hyunwoo knew about the genetic mix-up. About a month before he died, he hired a private investigator to find the egg donor. To find Minjun. My heart stopped. He knew. His final message wasn't an apology for carrying your children, Jae-sung continued gently. It was a blessing. He was giving you both the family you'd accidentally created. He wanted you to find each other. I couldn't breathe. Jihoon crossed the room and pulled me into his arms, both of us crying. Those babies need us, he said against my hair. Both of us. And this one, his hand rested on my stomach where our child grew. Minjun, I know this started wrong. Everything about us was backward and broken. But let me fix it. Let me court you properly. Let me be the alpha you deserve. I looked up at this cold, broken man who'd become a father overnight, who'd protected me without knowing we were fated mates, who was now offering me everything. They need their parents, I whispered. All of them. Jiho, Jiwoo, and this baby. They need both of us. He kissed me softly, and for the first time since that forgotten night, everything felt right. Then let's go home, he said. Let's bring our family home. 6 months later. I stood in the nursery rocking our newborn daughter, Minisio, while Jihoon fed the twins their bottles. The morning sun painted everything gold. Happy? He asked, looking at me with those once cold eyes now full of warmth. I looked at our 3 children, born from accidents and miracles and tragedy. Yes, I whispered. Finally, yes.